6 a.m. Clipboard clutched, insurance card declined again. Receptionist won't make eye contact, talking about some prior authorization. My daughter's fever spiking, 104, been 3 days waiting. Emergency rooms are holding herself for folks whose coverage ain't validating. They told me come back Tuesday, maybe Wednesday for approval. But her skin's on fire, I'm watching child and draining, hospital moval. Form stack thick as medical text, these doctors never open. Section 8B, subsection 9, my desperation's coded. In the database I'm a number, claim denied, risk assessment. My baby's pains, a quarterly report, some actuary's investment. White coats pass by, stethoscope swing like judges' gavels. I'm fluent in rejection language, every know another battle. Fluorescent lights hum, bureaucratic hymns above the desperate. We're all sick here, but some of us just can't afford the medicine. The waiting room's a graveyard shift, we haunt these plastic chairs till someone deems our suffering fits within their coverage squares.
Take a number, take a seat. Take your symptoms to the street. Your pain ain't covered in the plan. Your breath ain't worth the paperwork. Take a number, take a seat. Watch your child's fever climb. They measure life in co-pays here. Your fear don't fit the bottom line.
Nurse finally calls my name. 3 hours since I checked in. Vitals taking, questions asked, but still no doctor's been in. She says the system's slow today, like every day ain't slow. Like this building wasn't built on bodies told they gotta go. I see an old man wheezing, clutching chest, they make him wait. Some teenager with a gunshot wound, they debate his insurance fate. There's a mother with a newborn, jaundice turned her skin to gold. They asking for her payment plan before this baby's 3 days old. I learned the language. Young, pre-existing condition means you wore your sickness like a crime before you sought the healing schemes. Out of network, in network, deductibles and caps. Every term's a trap door, every claw's a mousetrap. They built this labyrinth deliberate, designed to make you quit. Walk away from care you need because you can't afford to sit in waiting rooms that smell like bleach and broken promises, where health's a luxury item and your life's anonymous.
Ma'am, I'm showing your insurance lapsed last month.
I paid. I got the confirmation number right here.
Well, it's not in our system. You need to call your provider.
My daughter needs a doctor now, not next week, not?
Ma'am, please lower your voice or I'll have to ask security.
So I lower my voice, swallow rage, smile polite, cause angry black women get escorted out on sight. I code switch, speak proper, neutralize my desperation for form respectability, just to access basic medication. Finally see a doctor, 5 minutes, maybe 6, prescription written, no explanation, just pharmaceutical fix. $160 at the pharmacy, I got 43 pharmacists look through me, suggest I try the clinic across the street. That clinic closed last year, budget cuts and rezoning, nearest ones to bus transfers through neighborhoods they're policing. My daughter's still on fire, I'm calculating what the pawn, TV, laptop, wedding ring, survival's just a constant concy. They don't kill you with the bullet, that's too obvious, too clean. They kill you with the formal way to code you've never seen. Death by bureaucracy, slow violence, paper trails of bodies piling up while administrators check their email.
Take a number, take a seat. Take your symptoms to the street. Your pain ain't covered in the plan. Your breath ain't worth the paperwork. Take a number, take a seat. Watch your child's fever climb. They measure life in co-pays here. Your fear don't fit the bottom line.
Notice on the door, neon orange screaming loud. 30 days to vacate premises. They typed it, never said it out loud. Landlord's nephew needs this unit, that's the reason that they gave. But I seen the listing online, twice the rent, completely renovated. I've been here 7 years, never missed a payment once. But gentrification's moving fast, my history don't count for much. They want these buildings empty so they can gut them, flip them quick. Paint the walls, call it luxury, charge $3 for same old bricks. My kids go to school 3 blocks away, my mama's round the corner. This neighborhood's my whole world, now they treat me like a foreigner. City planners call it progress, I call it forced removal. They don't build new projects, they just displace and disapprove. You Section 8 waiting list, longer than my daughter's lifetime. Shelters overcrowded, so we're facing the streets this time. I got a job, I pay my bills, I did everything they said. Still got 30 days to figure out where we gon' lay our heads. Knock, knock, who's there? Notice of eviction. Your home ain't yours when somebody else holds the permission. Knock, knock, time's up. Pack your whole life in boxes. They measuring communities by profits, not by how many live in them. 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 Caught every shelter in the borough, all of them is full. Churches got a wait list, cousin spot got 3 families already crammed in the pool. Loud couch, air mattresses, rotating sleeps, just kids doing homework by the street. Like this is what displacement is. My son's grades dropping cause we moving school to school. Can't keep friends, can't keep routine, stress got him acting cruel. Daughter stop talking much, progression therapists explain. But therapy costs money and our Medicaid's been strained. Boss looking at me different since I gave the shelter address. Says I seem distracted, maybe I should take some unpaid rest. Can't afford to miss a shift, can't afford to lose this job, can't afford to break down crying in this office bathroom stall. See, eviction's not an ending, it's a trapdoor to the spiral. First you lose your housing, then your job becomes survival. Then you lose the job, then your kids, then your mind. Systems built to break you down one violation at a time. Not by how many live in them. Not by how many live in them. Not by how many live in them. Not how many live in them. Not how many live in them. Not by how many live in them. Not by how many live in them. 28 days later, marshal at my door with papers. Court appointed execution, property reclamation procedures. Judge gave landlord everything, didn't even hear my side. Said I had no legal right to stay, my testimony's nullified. They put our stuff in storage, we got 72 hours to claim it, but storage fees accrue daily. It's a trap and they designed it, most folks never get their things back. Birth certificates, ID, all the documents you need to prove you're human. Agencies, we're sleeping in my car now, parking lot to parking lot. Mall security chase us out, cops run our plates a lot. My daughter asked me yesterday when we gon' go back home. I ain't got the heart to tell her this is home now. Streets we roam, from working class to homeless in exactly 30 days. That's the American dream, fractured, broken, lease, displaced. And somewhere in that building, new tenants moving in they art. Never knowing families got broken so they could get that fresh start. Knock, knock, who's there? Notice of eviction. Your home ain't yours when somebody else holds up permission. Knock, knock, time's up. Pack your whole life in boxes. They measuring communities by profits, not by how many live in them. Not how many live in them. How many live in them. Not by how many live. Not by how many live in them.
Know me like they fucking around. Know me like they fucking around.
11 p.m., punch the clock, third shift at the plant begins. 12-hour rotation, 6 days a week, survival economics. My grandfather worked the same line, died at 53. Black lung chemical exposure, company claimed it wasn't liability. 23 years I've been clocking in, watching my body decay. Carpal tunnel, herniated discs, supervisors look away. OSHA violation, file a complaint, that's how you get hours cut. Union's been neutered, contract negotiated by folks who never worked the gut of this machinery. Where oil and sweat become the same substance, where safety protocols get ignored when production quotas need adjusting. I seen 3 people die here, factory floor casualties labeled accidents in reports, but really it's systematic tragedies. Management gets bonuses while we get wage freezes. CEO took home 40 million while they cut our healthcare pieces. They say we're essential workers, praise us in their speeches, then schedule us for doubles, dock our pay if we get sick and need relief.
Third shift eulogy for the working dead. We're dying slow on factory floors while they're counting dividends. Third shift eulogy eulogy, punch a life away. 40 years of labor just to end up in an early grave.
My son asked, why do this? Why not find another way? Son, there is no other way. When bills are due and you got mouths to feed and raise. This plant's the only game in town since they closed the steel mill. Walmart pays minimum wage and fast food can't cover medical bills. So I breathe these chemical fumes, feel my lungs crystallize. Watch my co-workers nod off standing, exhaustion in their eyes. Maria fell asleep at break, slept through her alarm. Mr. Shift got terminated, single mother, 3 kids, Section 8 farm. They don't care about your circumstances, just your productivity. You're interchangeable, replaceable, expendable commodity. See, they automate half the line, laid off 60 people. Those of us remaining do the work of 3. No raises, just more evil. Working conditions that would shock most folks who buy these products. But nobody wants to know the suffering baked into the stuff they got and consumed without thinking about the hands that built it, the backs that broke to make it, the lives the system killed with. Got injured last November, back when I lifting pallets. Company doctor cleared me, said the pain was psychosomatic. Sent me back to work same day, no accommodation, just ibuprofen, ice pack, silent humiliation. Workers' comp claim denied. They said I caused it myself, improper lifting technique, personal negligence, nothing else. But I've been lifting proper 23 years straight. The real issue's understaffing, overworking, inadequate breaks. Schedules designed, maximum extraction of our labor. Minimum investment in our safety, health, or future favor. They'll work you till you're broken, then replace you with fresh bodies. This is American manufacturing, this is economic war. See, my daughter's in community college, studying nursing. I told her get an education so she won't end up here hurting. But I wonder if it matters, if the whole system's rigged, if every job's designed to drain your life until there's nothing left to give.
Third shift eulogy for the working dead. We're dying slow on factory floors while they're counting dividends. Third shift eulogy, punch a life away. 40 years of labor just to end up in an early grave. Mommy like it fucking Dubai. Mommy like it fucking Dubai.
Found my father's journal in the attic, 1977. He was 14 when he wrote it. Same age I was when I first felt that depression settling into my bones like inherited property, genetic deed. He described the same empty feeling, same rage, same desperate need to escape his body, escape the mirrors, escape the expectations. His father drank away the pain. My father chose isolation, locked himself inside his mind, but walls I'm still dismantling. Never learned to speak his hurt, so now I'm wrestling with the damage and patterns that skip generations but never really die. Just mutate, adapt, survive within the children who don't know why. They carry weight that ain't their own but feels embedded in their spine. I'm 23 in therapy, trying to unlearn his design. My grandmother never talked about what happened back in Mississippi. Just kept working, kept moving, kept secrets heavy. As silence became language, the only tongue we knew. Suffering and solitary, scared that speaking made it true. What you inherit ain't just blood and bone structure. It's silent rage, swallow grief, pain they never uttered. Generations hand down trauma like family recipes. Unless someone breaks a chain, acknowledges the injury. My mother loves me fierce, but don't know how to show it soft. She was raised by hands that hit when they meant to God, so she's lost between the violence she endured and the gentleness she seeks. I watch her fighting with herself every time she tries to speak. Tenderness without follow criticism, without the need to toughen me up, prepare me for a world designed to bleed. Black women dry, she thinks she's protecting me, but really she's passing down the armor that's been crushing us for centuries. I told her I was seeing therapists, she said that's white folks. She said we don't air our business, don't trust strangers with what's intimate, but keeping secrets killed her brother, drove her sister to addiction. This culture of silence ain't protecting us, it's a restriction on our healing, on our breathing, on our right to feel pain without performing strength, without carrying shame. I'm trying to break the cycle, speak the things they couldn't name, honor their survival while refusing to repeat the same. I forgive you, Daddy, for the things you ain't know how to say. I forgive you, mama, for the hurt you handed down my way. But forgiveness don't mean repetition. I'm ending this today. The inheritance stops here. I'm not passing down the pain. Had a pregnancy scare last month. Sat in that clinic waiting. Thinking about the children I might have. Would I be perpetuating? If I don't do this work now, excavate these buried traumas. Unlearn these coping mechanisms, these inherited dramas. My therapist asked what kind of mother I wanna be. I broke down crying, realized I never saw that model for me. Every woman in my lineage was surviving, not living, working 3 jobs. No time for feelings, just existing. I want different from my daughter. If I ever have one, want her to know softness ain't weakness, that her pain is valid and worth expressing, worth processing, worth the time it takes to heal. Want to teach her that her body's hers, her boundaries are real. That no means no, even a family, especially the family that she don't owe nobody nothing but her self-honesty. This is how we break the curse, one generation at a time. Speaking truth to trauma, refusing to repeat the crime.
Yeah. Met my lawyer 15 minutes before my arraignment. Public defender, 37 cases, barely knows my name and can't remember details. Reading file like it's the first time, asking me to plead guilty to something I ain't do. Save time, says the DA's offering 18 months instead of 5 years. I'm saying I'm innocent, he's saying that's not what the jury hears. Systems backed up, judges want quick pleas to clear their dockets. My freedom's a logistics problem, justice court in bureaucratic pockets. He got 7 minutes to explain why I should accept this deal before some prosecutor tells him, Gary, I'm everything they should fear. I'm 22, no priors, wrong place at the wrong time, but I fit the description, and the description's by design. Any young black man in a hoodie in that neighborhood, my lawyer says fighting this could make it worse. I'm misunderstood. The system don't care about truth, just case clearance rates. Another body for the prison, another statistic they create. Public pretender, overworked defender, can't fight the system when you're part of the agenda. Take the plea, take the time, take your rights away. Justice is a luxury and you can't afford to pay. Trial by jury's a myth when 97% plead out, not cause they're guilty, because they scared of what the verdict's about. They overcharge you, stack the counts, threaten decades, then offer you a fraction if you just admit you're guilty and behave. Coercion dressed up as negotiation, that's the game. A public defender's partner in this, knowingly complicit in the shame. She genuinely seems tired, burnt out, defeated too. Said she wanted to be the hero, but the system breaks you. 200 cases annually, impossible caseload. No time for investigation, no resources, just survival mode. Meanwhile, DA's got investigators, expert witnesses, unlimited funds. I got 7 minutes and a lawyer suggesting I should run from a trial. I likely win if anybody did the work, but work costs money and I'm poor, so justice don't exert itself on my behalf. It's reserved for those who can't afford to hire real attorneys who actually prepare for court.
How does your client plead? Your Honor, we'd like to request a continuance to review. Counselor, this is the 3rd continuance. Make a decision. Your Honor, my client maintains his innocence, but is he pleading guilty or not? I have 40 cases today. Will accept the state's offer. Your Honor, very well, 18 months. Credit for time, sir.
Sat in that courtroom, watch my lawyer sell my freedom for expediency, for clearing dockets, for reasons that don't seem connected to the concept of justice that they claim this building represents. Now I'm property of the state statistics in their prison census. My mama crying in the gallery, she knows I didn't do this, but belief don't matter when the system's already convicted you with prejudice embedded in its programming. From cop to courts, a assembly line for incarceration, constitutional support for slavery by another name. 13th Amendment loophole, criminal conviction makes you property, makes your labor they can use while corporations profit off our bodies. Phone calls, commissary, everything's inflated. Families paying fees for necessary contact with their loved ones. Visits cost money, letters get screened. Justice is a business and we're products in they scheme. From public defenders who can't defend the judges, rushing verdicts. This whole court's a theater and we're audience and servants. Public your client, public your client, public your client, please. Public your client, please. Public your client, public your client, public your client, please. Public your client, please.
nigga on the corner charging $4 for a gallon of milk. That same milk costs $2.50 in the suburbs. This is how they built this economic trap. Food desert by design. No supermarkets in the 3-mile radius, just liquor stores and check cashing signs. Fresh vegetables, forget it, everything's canned or expired. Baby formula locked behind the counter like we all suspects lies. Trying to steal necessities that should be basic human rights, but capitalism turns survival into merchandise. I take 2 buses to reach a decent grocery store, 45 minutes each way. Hauling bags, can't afford much more than what I can carry, so I'm making multiple trips. While wealthy neighborhoods got Whole Foods on every single strip. This ain't accidental, this is urban planning as a weapon. Redlining from the 50s, still affecting where we stepping. Banks won't invest here, chain stores won't build here. Corner store economy, paying more for less. Food desert profit margins designed to dispossess. You tax the poor for being poor, charge them extra for survival. This is economic violence, structural homicide. Check cash and spot ticks, 15% to cash my paycheck. Can't get a bank account, check systems got me blacklisted for an overdraft. 3 years ago when I was broke and desperate, now I'm still broke but also paying fees to access my own money records. Show this is intentional, poverty's profitable for payday lenders. Check cashers, rent-to-own companies profitable for keeping communities trapped in cycles of extraction. Liquor store, bail bonds, pawn shop, that's the only economic action in my neighborhood. While downtown they building luxury condos, young professionals sipping lattes, never thinking about how those same banks funding their mortgages refuse to lend here. Insurance companies, redliners, securities charge us more per year for the same services. Systematically we're paying a poverty tax on everything, slowly decaying our ability to accumulate anything resemble wealth while they extract it all and call it free market helping itself. Helping itself. Helping itself. Helping itself. Helping itself. Helping itself. My son asked why we can't shop where his friend's family goes. I tried explaining food apartheid, economic restrictions imposed on communities they've decided ain't worth corporate investment, just worth extracting from, worth keeping in perpetual dependence on predatory businesses that thrive on our desperation. Corner store owner ain't the villain, he's caught in the same stagnation. Can't afford the lower prices cause his costs are higher too. Distributors charge more to service neighborhoods like ours. It's true that the whole system's rigged against us, from foundation, economic segregation, wealth accumulation, concentrated in specific zones while ours are left to crumble. Infrastructure neglected, opportunities tumble out of reach for generations, trapped in this geography of systematic disinvestment, planned atrophy. They call it food desert like it's natural phenomenon, but deserts are created when you cut off water and keep everyone dependent on expensive drops you sell at markup rates. This is economic warfare hidden in the marketplace.
Dear mama, it's your son, writing from inside. Federal mandatory minimum 25 to life for selling dimes. Nonviolent first offense, but they weigh the whole package. Baking soda counted, same as crack under federal statutes. Public defender told me I should've took the plea, but 5 years seemed like forever. Now 25 is reality. Judge's hands were tied, he said mandatory sentencing guidelines. Even though we disagree, called it unjust during trial time, but still sentenced me to more time than rapists, child abusers. Meanwhile, corporate executives embezzle millions, never see a prison unit. Just probation fines they pay for money stolen while I'm locked up for capitalism symptoms, economic desperation. I was 19, trying to eat, trying to pay rent. McDonald's wasn't hiring, streets was all that made sense. Now I'm watching my 20s disappear behind these walls while politicians campaign on being tough on crime, building more cells. Mandatory minimum for the poor and black and brown, while white collar criminals walk free in every town. War on drugs is war on us, 13% of population, 40%
1% of prisoners call this what it is, decimation. Dear mama, 7 years deep, I don't recognize the man. I'm becoming in these cages, survival's a different plan in here. You either harden up or get preyed upon. Violence is the language, rehabilitation's just a con. They run to justify the funding, but no program's actually running. GED classes overcrowded, college courses got cut from the budget. Meanwhile, CCA stock prices climbing every quarter. Private prisons profit from our bodies. Modern day slaughter of a generation. Mass incarceration, slavery amended, not abolished. 13th Amendment's the foundation for the system built on black and brown commodification with labor force, with profit margins, with portfolio diversification. I work in the kitchen, make 13 cents an hour, while they charge my family $3 for a 15-minute phone call. Power imbalance so severe I can't even articulate how dehumanizing it feels to be treated like inventory. Calculated risk assessment, not a human being with potential, just a number, a conviction. A bed they're renting to the federal government at markup rates while starving us and working us and medicating us and breaking us. Understanding that we'll return, recidivism by design. No job prospects with a record, so we're back to same crime. Dear mama, 15 years I heard you're sick, diabetes. My little sister's grown, got kids, I never met this disease of incarceration spreads through families like contamination. My nephew's acting out, showing signs of intergenerational trauma. Visiting his uncle in a cage, normalizing prison. Think this is just part of coming of age. Statistics say he's more likely to end up here too. That's how they perpetuate this trauma passed from media through the hammer. Legacy of confinement and surveillance. I got 10 more years minimal before I'm even eligible for a parole. Hearing violence, of time theft, of stolen moments, birthday and holidays. My father died last year, couldn't attend funeral warden said no way. Security risk, like I'm Hannibal Lecter. I sold dimes, but I'm treated like I'm serial killer doing one up for lifetimes. Meanwhile, that banker who crashed the economy in no way got a bonus and a book deal, never saw a prison gate. That pharmaceutical exec pushing opioids knew the cost. Hundreds of thousands dead, he paid a fine and wasn't lost to a cage. Didn't lose his life, his family, his name, but I'm the dangerous one. I'm the one society should blame for its failures, its inequalities, its foundational rot. I'm the scapegoat, the example, the body they bought. And so to maintain the illusion that justice is blind, but she sees color perfectly when sentencing time is a sign. Yeah, mama.
Knock on my door at 6 a.m. Social worker with police escort. Anonymous tips at my house was unfit. Now they want a full report of my life, my finances, my relationships, my mental health. Like being poor is child abuse, like struggling means you unfit yourself to raise the kids you birthed. Love, fed the best you could with food stamps and determination in this forgotten neighborhood. They're looking at the peel and paint, the space heater in winter, the donated clothes, the hand-me-downs like poverty's a splinter. I could just remove if I try harder, work more hours. I'm already working 2 jobs, who's supposed to watch them while I'm out there? Earning minimum wage, that ain't enough to cover childcare costs, so I leave my oldest watching younger ones. Now CPAs is cross-examining my choices like I ain't already drowning. They're talking about removing my children, caseworkers frowning at my tears, my desperation. My begging them to see that taking kids from struggling families ain't protecting them, it's cruelty. They don't remove kids from poverty in wealthy white neighborhoods. They offer services, resources, understanding, latitude. But when you're black and poor, they call that same poverty, neglect, and tear apart your family under the guise of protecting them. Court they said, attorney appointed, barely knows my case. Foster care's the recommendation, temporary placement while I face requirements, parenting classes, supervised visitation, drug testing, even though drugs was never the situation. Housing inspection, proof of income, mental health evaluation, jumping through bureaucratic hoops designed for my humiliation. My baby's crying, asking why they can't come home. I'm trying to explain the system, I don't understand the cyclone and paperwork and protocols and people making judgments about my fitness as a mother based on economic struggles that's abundant in communities like mine. But instead of helping families thrive, they separate us, traumatize the children and claim they're keeping them alive from danger that was really just the danger of being poor. In America where poverty's criminalized and families like mine endure constant surveillance, constant threat of separation, while wealthy parents hire nannies and call it proper child care delegation. I don't know. making Mac come home. 6 months in foster care, my daughter's regressing. Wet in the bed, nightmares. Therapist says it's depression from the trauma of removal, from being ripped from all she knew. But CPS says I still need 3 more months before they review my case again. Meanwhile, I've completed all their classes, maintained employment, moved to better housing, passed their drug tests, psych evals, home inspections, everything they required. But still they hesitant to reunify, like my poverty disqualified me permanently from motherhood, from family. Statistics say black children overrepresented in foster care dramatically. Not cause black mothers worse, but cause we're over-surveilled. Mandatory reporters more suspicious of us. They're compelled by implicit bias to report struggles in our communities, while overlooking identical situations in white families. This is how they break us, generational disconnection, taking children from their mothers under the pretense of protection.
I come home.
1013, officer needs assistance. Suspect is black male, approximately. White Mario.
Blue lights in my rear view, heart racing before they even approach. Not cause I'm guilty, because I know how this goes. Hands on the steering wheel, 10 into position, license and registration ready, hoping that submission and their authority might save my life tonight. Officer at my window, hand on his gun, I'm trying to sit tight, not make sudden movements, not give him any reason to claim he fit for his safety, to make this my last season. Breathing, he's asking where I'm going, where I'm coming from, like I owe him explanation for existing, for being young and black in this neighborhood. He's patrolling like occupied territory. I'm a citizen supposedly, but this interaction's predatory. He's running my license, back up arrives, now it's 3 of them surrounding my vehicle, hands on weapons, looking for reasons to escalate this traffic stop into something more sinister. I'm calculating every word, every gesture, trying to administer compliance perfectly so I make it home to my family tonight. Blue wall of silence, protected ain't gone. Kill us in the streets, then claim they fear for their lives. Condoned by the system, by the unions, by the qualified immunity. This is occupation, this is state-sanctioned impunity. My cousin didn't make it home, traffic stop turned fatal. Officer said he reached for something, witness said that's not how it went at all. Said my cousin complied, hands visible, never threatened, but the dash cam mysteriously malfunctioned. His testimony's weaponized against my cousin's memory. Character assassination, they leaked his juvenile record to the press. Public humiliation, making him the villain in the story of his own murder. Officer got paid leave, investigation by his own department further. Proof the system's not designed to hold him accountable. Internal affairs cleared him, said the shooting was reasonable. Fear for his life, though my cousin was unarmed. The witnesses contradicted his story, he's unharmed. Legally, financially, professionally protected by the union. While my family's planning funerals, seeking some communion with justice that don't exist for folks who look like us. District attorney declined to prosecute, said there wasn't enough evidence to discuss in front of a grand jury. Case closed, another black body erased, justified, forgotten by everybody except the family left behind to grieve and organize, demanding accountability that never actually arrives. They say not all cops, but all cops protect the bad ones. Through that blue wall of silence, through unions that defend the sad ones, who kill us and claim fear, who plant evidence, who lie on police reports and in court and watch us die, or get locked up for crimes we didn't commit, while they collect pensions and promotions, qualified immunity displays. How the system value property over people, order over justice. How it deputize slave catchers and we're still feeling the repercussions of that found in violence. That original sin embedded in the DNA of American policing. We're targeted for existing, for driving, for walking, for breathing, while black every interaction's potentially fatal. That's a statistical fact, not paranoia, not exaggeration, just pattern recognition from centuries of state violence against a systematic decision to deploy force against communities they're supposedly protecting, but really occupying, surveilling, harassing, neglecting our humanity, our rights, our claim to simple safety in the country of our birth, where we treated like the enemy.
Like Mario, like Mario, Mario. White Mario. White Mario.
3 days a week, 4 hours at a time, hooked to this machine. It's
keeping me alive, but slowly taking everything I worked my whole life to save. Each session costs $3,000, Medicare don't fully pay the difference, so I'm drowning in medical debt. 67 years old, worked since I was 12, no respect for the life I built, the taxes I paid, contributions I made. System's treating me like burden now that I need the aid I'm supposed to receive after a lifetime of labor. Kidney failure from diabetes, from the diet shaped by poverty's flavor. Processed foods we could afford, lack of healthcare access. Now I'm paying for those structural inequalities, medical taxes. On the poor who age faster, die younger, suffer more from preventable conditions that wealthy folks don't endure. Cause they got insurance, they got options, they got doctors who listen. I got 15-minute appointments and mountain medical bills. Decision between medication and groceries, between treatment and rent. This is how they slowly kill us, death by 1,000 cuts and cents.
Dialysis dreams of a body that worked before the system broke it down with neglect and hurt. Healthcare rationing by wealth, who deserves to survive? Measured by your bank account, your ability to stay alive.
My wife passed 3 years ago. Couldn't afford her insulin, rationing doses, trying to make it stretch. Systematic killing of diabetics who can't pay for medication they need to live. That costs dollars to produce, but hundreds to patients give. Pharmaceutical companies profiting from our desperation, while we're dying slowly from financial consideration. Over health, over life, over basic human dignity. Medicare for all could solve this, but political timidity and lobbying keep us trapped in this profit-driven system where insurance companies decide who lives and who's a victim of their cost-benefit analysis. They actuarial tables that measure human suffering by quarterly earnings. Cables connecting me to this machine, filtering my blood, cause my kidneys fail from years of struggling through the mud of American poverty. Or working full-time and still being broke, skipping doctor visits cause co-pays meant choosing between health and hope. I'm on the transplant list but chances are slim. Not enough donors, too many patients, my age works against them. The algorithms that decide who gets organs, who gets saved, favor younger patients, those with better long-term prognosis paved with good intentions maybe, but the outcome's still the same. Folks like me are expendable, written off, barely a name in the system's database. Just another aging body who worked his whole life contributing to society. Now society's decided I ain't worth the investment of a kidney transplant, of actual treatment, just maintenance, just dialysis 3 times a week. While I watch my savings disappear, my body grow weak. My grandkids visit sometimes, see their grandfather diminished by a system that extracts everything until you're finished. This is American healthcare, this is how we treat our elders after they've given everything. We leave them in the shelter of a profit-driven medical complex that values quarterly returns over human lives, over dignity, while my body slowly burns through its remaining function, waiting for an ending that'll probably come before that transplant, before the system's bending toward justice, toward care, toward recognizing that healthcare is a human right, not commodity for enterprise and corporations to exploit. But I won't see that change, I'll die hooked to this machine, another casualty of the way we've arranged society to serve the wealthy while the rest of us just try to survive. Another day, another treatment, barely staying alive.
Dialysis dreams of a body that worked before the system broke it down with neglect and hurt. Healthcare rationing by wealth, who deserves to survive? Measured by your bank account, your ability to stay alive.
Pull on my tape. Pull on my tape.
Metal detectors at the entrance like we're entering a prison. Resource officer in the hallway, hand on his weapon. Suspicion in his eyes when he looks at us. We're 14 but he sees threats. My school looks like a jail while suburban schools look like prep academies with green lawns, updated textbooks, working computers. We got broken desks, outdated books, and cops who shoot first. When it's conflict, they don't call counselors, they call police. Arrested my classmate last week for talking back. No peace in these halls, just surveillance, just zero tolerance policies that criminalize child and mistakes trappers in the jaws of quality. Prison stock investors who profit from our incarceration. School to prison pipeline starts here with subpar education. Teachers are burnt out, underpaid, overcrowded classrooms, 40 students to 1 teacher. How we supposed to actually bloom in these conditions? We're set up to fail from the beginning, and when we do, they got us sell waiting. They keep building more prisons while they close our schools. Budget cuts and overcrowding. This is systematic destruction of our futures, educational drowning. School
the prison pipeline, tracking us from you. Metal detectors and police, they preparing us for boosts. Where we'll plead out cases, where we'll learn to survive cages. This ain't education, this is training for enslaved. My guidance counselor got 300 students assigned. Can't remember my name, definitely don't know my dreams on my mind. I wanted to talk about college, but she talking about vocational training. Like my potential's predetermined, like aspirations, just complaining about the hand I was dealt. Born in the zip code where property taxes fund schools, so we get the broke version of education while wealthy districts thrive. This is how they decide who gets to dream and who just survives. Advanced placement classes, we don't have enough qualified teachers. Science lab equipment broken since my older brother was a feature in this building 5 years ago. Nothing's been updated, just more cops, more metal detectors, more students incarcerated for violations that in white schools would result in detention. Here result in arrest, court days, permanent criminal mention on our records before we're old enough to vote or drive. Set us up for failure, then profit when we don't survive. The system designed to break us, designed to feed us into private prisons, trading on stock markets revenue. They continue to generate from our bodies, from our trauma, from our struggles, while politicians claim they care about education, just subtle enough to fool some people. But we see it clear as day. This ain't about learning, it's about controlling, making us pay for being born black and poor in America's ghettos, where schools are prisons and dreams die before they grow. Got suspended last month for defending myself in a fight. Other kids started it, but I got arrested. He got off light cause his parents could afford a lawyer. Could make some calls while my mama working double shifts just to keep us from falling into homelessness. Can't take off work for school meetings, so I'm navigating this alone. The system's beating down on me from every angle. Teachers who don't care, cops who see me as a criminal, counselors who ain't there, classmates dropping out to work to help their families eat, or joining gangs for protection for community they meet on corners cause school ain't providing it. Ain't safe here, just surveillance, just punishment, just atmosphere of hostility and low expectations and doors closing before we even get a chance to walk through. They're imposing limits on our futures based on budgets and zip codes. This is education of apartheid, these are systemic loads they place on children, on communities, on entire generations, then blame us for the outcomes of the calculated devastation of our schools, our neighborhoods, our chances to succeed. This is genocide by policy, by disinvestment, by refusing to meet our basic human needs for quality education. They're warehousing us, preparing us for incarceration.
Hour shift, night rotation, 6 days straight. They short-staffed again, corporate cut the nursing rate to maximize profits while we're drowning in patient load. 1 nurse to 8 patients, safety protocols erode. When you're running room to room, trying to keep people alive, while administrators and officers decide if we survive. On skeleton crews, mandatory overtime, no breaks, I haven't eaten in 8 hours, bladders full, my body aches. But Mr. Johnson in 412's coding room, 407 these meds, 403's phantomly demanding updates, 420 just wet the bed. And he's changing dignity, queering time I don't possess, because the hospital's running lean to impress investors. Address shareholders' concerns about quarterly returns, not patient care, not nurses burning out, not the weight we're forced to bear of impossible expectations, moral injury accumulating every time we can't provide the care we know they're waiting for, deserving of. But corporate logic won't allow, cause staffing costs eat into profit, so they make us do without adequate support, adequate backup, adequate supplies, while they build new luxury wings and advertise with lies about compassionate care, about putting patients first, when really they're extracting every dollar, quenching capitalist thirst. Night shift nurse running on empty and obligation, holding people's lives while corporates counting compensation. We're the front line, the last line, the only line that cares, while administrators profit from our labor, from our nightmare. Night shift nurse running on empty and obligation, holding people's lives while corporates counting compensation. We're the front line, the last line, the only line that cares, while administrators profit from our labor, from our nightmare. Lost a patient tonight, could have been prevented if we had adequate staff and if I wasn't stretched and extended across too many rooms, too many needs. Could've monitored close enough to catch the signs of subtle changes. Now I'm comatose with guilt, even though I know it's not my fault. It's the system that killed them, the corporate assault on healthcare as a human right. Transformation in a profit center where patients are customers and nurses are cost they wanna enter. And the algorithms optimize, reduce, contain, where hemorrhaging experienced nurses can't sustain this pace, this pain. New grads within a year, burned out before they start, cause they're thrown into chaos with no mentorship, no support to impart the skills they need. Just sink or swim and most are sinking under weight of trauma, moral injury, constantly thinking about the patients they couldn't save, the care they couldn't give. This is healthcare in America, where only rich folks live through serious illness with dignity and adequate attention, while we're trudging crisis after crisis, running on adrenaline's tension. My back's destroyed from lifting patients, no mechanical lifts that other hospitals have. Management says budget can't shift to accommodate safety, rather pay for injuries after they occur, cheaper than prevention, so my body's the collateral, sir. I'm 34 but feel 50, chronic pain, stress injuries, watching younger nurses break down, cracking in supply closet memories of why they entered nursing, calling they felt to help and heal. Now they're cogs and profit machines, assembly lines surreal, disconnection from the mission, from the care they want to provide, but can't because of ratios, because of corporate pride and lean management and inefficiency and maximizing yield of revenue per patient. Nurses and patients both sealed into this system that's destroying us, that values money over health, over healing, over humanity, accumulation of wealth at the top while we're drowning at the bottom, providing care despite the obstacles, because we have to, cause someone has to be there for the vulnerable, the sick, the dying, the alone. Even as the system breaks our bodies, breaks us down to bone and exhaustion, still we show up, still we fight to give our patients dignity through another 12-hour night. Night shift nurse running on empty and obligation, holding people's lives while corporates counting compensation. We're the front line, the last line, the only line that cares, while administrators profit from our labor, from our nightmare. From my nightmare.
Concrete floor, metal bench, thermal blanket, then it's paper. 50 people in a cell built for 20 human nature. Disappears when you're caged like animals, when dignity's extracted by a system that don't see you as human. Just abstracted statistic, detention quotas, private prison profits. They call this facility a center, but it's a human deposit box where they warehouse families seeking safety, seeking asylum from violence. We fled only to find violence in this system. We've been here 3 months, no hearing day scheduled. My daughter's 6th birthday passed, couldn't even send her a message. No phone calls, limited visitation. Lawyers are overworked, public defenders can't keep up private ones we can't afford. We hurt by a system designed to deter migration through cruelty, make the process so painful that people won't try truly to seek the refuge they're entitled to under international law. But America don't care about law when brown people are involved.
Immigration, detention, invisible cages, where human rights dissolve, where hope just ages. They lock up families seeking safety and freedom. Call them illegal, call them aliens, refuse to see them.
Guards treat us like criminals, though we committed no crime. Seeking asylum's legal, but they making us do time in conditions worse than prisons, worse than jails, indefinite. Some people been detained for years, no end to this, no benefit of due process, a speedy trial, of basic human dignity. They separate families, take children cause permanent injury, psychological trauma that won't heal. Children lost in system, parents deported without them, trying to find them from distant countries through bureaucratic mazes with no map, no guide. Just horror stories of kids adopted out, families denied. Reunion, this is American immigration policy, not theoretical. This is actual practice. Democracy failing is found in principles, or maybe revealing that those principles were never meant for folks like us, just kneeling before power, before whiteness, before wars they keep erecting, to keep us out, to keep us other, to keep us from connecting with our humanity, with our rights, with our claims to refuge. Medical care, non-existent unless you're actively dying, and even then they hesitate. Lots of folks in here are crying from toothaches, from infections, from chronic conditions, untreated
repeated for months. This is torture, this is systemic, repeated violations of human rights that activists document, but nothing changes. Both parties support this heaven sent. It's how they talk about borders, about security, about sovereignty, while we're suffering in cages, while our dreams die quietly. I was a teacher back home, taught primary school, fled because cartels threatened my family. Violence so cruel, we had no choice but to run. Came to America seeking shelter, believing in the rhetoric that tied poor tempers, tossed wealth to come to our shores. But that was always propaganda. Only certain immigrants welcomed, only certain skin, agenda clearing. Who gets detained indefinitely, who gets released? White immigrants process quickly, brown immigrants never see peace. Just detention, just deportation, just dehumanization. This is America's immigration system. This is the nation that claims to be land of the free, while caging children, home of the brave, while traumatizing vulnerable women and men. Wrong. Immigration detention.
Coffee shop where the barbershop used to be. Artisanal bakery where my grandmother's church used to meet every week. Luxury condos where the project stood for 40 years. They call it revitalization, but really it's erasure. Clearing out the poor, the black, the brown, the culture that made this place worth investing in. Now we can't afford to stay this place. By folks who want the flavor of the neighborhood without us people. Want the art, the music, the food, the culture, but not the sequel of actually living among us. Actually knowing our names. Just wanna consume our creatory, then jack up the rents and claim they're improving the community. But improving for who? Not for us, we're being pushed out. Rent went from 800 to 2,000 overnight. Landlords saw opportunity. New clientele willing to pay more. Our history, our community. Don't matter, just profit potential. Just real estate investment. While we're scattered to far suburbs, affordable housing's non-existent. Gentrification blues, they're taking everything we built. Our culture commodified, our communities killed. By folks who want our flavor but not our presence. Yeah, this is modern colonization, this is class warfare. That's They come to our neighborhoods when they're affordable and gritty. Artists, young professionals, pioneers, they call themselves pretty. Soon landlords realize they can charge more, property values climb. Original residents can't compete, priced out of neighborhoods has been out since time immemorial. This is Brooklyn, this is Harlem, this is Oakland. This is every urban center where black folks and brown folks have been holding down communities. For generations built the culture, built the vibe that made these places desirable. Now we can't afford to survive here. Push the peripheries, food deserts, to transit deserts, to places with no services. While our old neighborhoods get commercialized. Experts call it development, call it progress. I call it theft of community, of history, of culture, nothing left but overpriced boutiques and restaurants we can't afford. Dog parks where playgrounds used to be. Communities sever deployed. It's how we feel watching strangers call police on us for being in our own neighborhood, suspicious of us. My family lived here for 3 generations, now we're gone. Couldn't afford the property taxes after they reassessed. Drawn out to suburbs an hour away. No public transit, my kids had to switch schools. Lost their friends, can't visit the neighborhood they grew up in, where their roots were planted deep. Now it's unrecognizable. Boutique fitness studios where we used to sleep. On brownstone stoops, talking late in the summer nights. All that community, all that culture displaced for profit. Marches and whites who want diversity as aesthetic, not actual integration. Want Juneteenth celebrations without the black residents. Appropriation of struggle and resistance. Modified in the brunch cleans, while actual black folks are miles away watching their communities' dreams die slow. Death by 1,000 rent increases. They don't burn down neighborhoods anymore, they just lease. Then the folks with more money call it market forces, invisible hand, but really its policy is redlining in reverse. Its plan removal by economic means. No need for urban renewal, just let the market work and watch communities get funeral services buried under luxury apartments, craft breweries. This is American capitalism, this is how the story sees. It's in it for poor folks, blind folks, queers. We built the culture, they profit from it, we disappear. We built the culture, they profit from it, we disappear. Yeah, we built the culture, they profit from it, we disappear. Yeah. We
built the culture, they profit from it, we disappeared. Yeah. We built the culture, they profit from it, we disappeared. Yeah. We built the culture, they profit from it. We disappear.
Found my brother on the bathroom floor, needle in his arm. Been 3 years since that doctor prescribed him pills after the car home. Accident, workplace injury, back never healed right. Doctor kept prescribing Oxycontin, 120 pills a month inside. Into how this epidemic started. Pharmaceutical companies knew these drugs were addictive. Lied to doctors, made money off casualties. Like my brother who trusted his physician, took the mass prescribed. When prescription ran out, he was hooked. Turned the streets to buy what his body needed, what doctors had conditioned him to crave. Heroin's cheaper than pills, fentanyl's killing folks in waves. But we don't talk about it like crisis, cause it's hitting white communities. Now, when it was crack, we criminalized, built prisons, opportunities to incarcerate black folks, call them super predators. Animals, now it's white suburban kids. It's medical, it's treatable, forgivable, double standards, so clear it's painful. But my brother's still dead, regardless of how society frames addiction in their head. Overdose, elegy for the ones we've lost to pharmaceutical greed. Corporate America killed them slow, planted the seed of addiction with prescriptions, profited off their pain, and left them to die alone. Just numbers, just shame. Purdue Pharma made billions off Oxycontin, knew it was addictive, marketed it to doctors anyway. Aggressive, restrictive, only in how they targeted pain clinics, low-income areas. Flooded communities with pills, created addicts, no barriers to prescribing. Doctors got kickbacks, pharmaceutical reps brought lunch, brought gifts, brought death in pill form. Kept prescribing even as bodies piled up, even as overdoses climbed, even as families fell apart. They claimed it wasn't their crime to answer for, just business, just free market working. Executives knew the truth, emails proved they were lurking in consciousness of guilt. They knew and didn't care. Profits over people, American healthcare nightmare. My brother tried to get help, rehab cost $20,000. Insurance won't cover it, call it pre-existing, amounted to a death sentence. Waitlist for public programs 6 months long. He didn't have 6 months, he had maybe weeks. Something wrong with a system that makes profit off addiction, that makes treatment inaccessible. This is murder by policy, this is capitalism's most despicable form. Killing the vulnerable, the workers, the injured, then blaming them for addiction that corporations authored. I got the call at 3 a.m. Mama screaming on the phone, your brother's gone, baby, your brother's gone, we're alone. And I knew before she said it, I've been watching him deteriorate. Tried to help but couldn't afford rehab, couldn't navigate the system designed to fail folks like us, like him. Funeral was last week, 37 years old. Casket stay closed, body too damaged, story told. An obituary that danced around the truth, said he passed peacefully. Couldn't say overdose, couldn't name the shame, but really, shame belongs to Sackler family, to Purdue executives, to doctors who prescribe recklessly, the system that incentivizes profit over people, pills over healing, addiction over care. My brother was a carpenter, loved his work, loved his kids, despair only came after injury, after pills, after system failed him. He wasn't weak, wasn't criminal, was victim of scheme that killed him, along with hundreds of thousands of others, working class casualties of corporate greed, of regulatory capture, of medical fallacies that claim these drugs were safe, weren't addictive, could be prescribed long-term with no consequences. They lied and people died, but executives pay fines that don't touch their wealth, no jail time. While my brother's in the ground and I'm writing this rhyme, trying to make sense of senseless loss, of preventable death, of how America values profit over its citizens' breath. Overdose, elegy for the ones we've lost to pharmaceutical greed. Corporate America killed them slow, planted the seed of addiction with prescriptions, profited off their pain, then left them to die alone. Just numbers, just shame. Just numbers, just shame.
pressing this call button for an hour. Need to use bathroom, can't walk alone forest, but there's not enough staff in this room. We're in this building, 3/8 for 40 patients on this one. Corporate cut the staff and budget bonuses for executives, suffering for residents, forgotten by society. Warehouse till we die in conditions no one talks about, no one wants to verify. My daughter visits once a month, cries at what she sees. Bedzos from lying too long, dehydration, indignities of sitting in soil close for hours waiting for someone to come. This facility charges $6,000 monthly. Where's that money from? Going not to staff, not to care, not to basic human needs. Going to corporate headquarters, to shareholders, to greed. I worked 43 years, paid in the system, this is reward. Neglect, isolation, waiting to die, can't afford. Better care, Medicare only covers so much. Kids can't pay the difference between this place and better facilities. This is age existence in America, disposed of when we're no longer productive. Left to rotting for profit, nursing homes, destructive business model that prioritizes profit over people's lives. While we're dying slowly from neglect, no one arrives to answer call bells, to check on us, to see our humanity. We're inventory now, bed occupancy rate, not family. Nursing home neglect, dying slow in profit shadow. Corporate care facilities where compassion shallow. Elder abuse hidden behind regulations rarely enforced. This is how America treats its age of dignity divorced from reality, from policy, from care, from reality. Food's inedible, cured mystery meat and instant potatoes. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner, same thing. Nutritionally hollow. My roommate got pneumonia last month. Took 3 days for staff to notice, to call doctor to get her care. Delays that nearly killed her, still recovering or trying to. But there's no physical therapy, no rehab services. Just dying slowly in bed. Muscles atrophy and mind deteriorating from lack of stimulation. No activities, just waiting for death, for release, for anything to change. State inspectors come get warned ahead. Staff rearrange everything, puts on a show. Inspector checks boxes, leaves. We're back to neglect, back to corporate model that achieves maximum profit through minimum care, minimum staffing. This is business model, this is American agents reality. Laughing will be better than crying, but we too tired for either. Just existing, waiting, watching friends die. Receiver of their stories, their regrets, their anger at being forgotten by country they built, by families too busy, by system rotten to its core, prioritizing profit over basic dignity. This is elder care in America, this is how it'll be for millions more as population ages. Unless something changes, unless we demand better, unless corporate death get rearranged. Had a stroke last week, left side paralyzed, physiotherapy. My help but insurance won't cover it. Medical necessity, questioned by folks who never met me. Algorithms deciding my fate, my recovery. My quality of life hiding behind bureaucratic language, behind cost-benefit analysis that values younger lives over older. That's the basis of healthcare rationing that no one wants to admit exists. But I'm living it or dying from it, dismissed by system that extracted everything from me when I was productive. Now I'm cost center liability, obstructive to profit margins. Better if I die quickly, freed up my bed for next Medicaid patient, next revenue stream. Instead, I'm lingering, aquarium care that cuts into their bottom line. This is what happens when you commodify, age and combine healthcare with profit motive with shareholder expectations. You get neglect, you get death, you get nursing home violations of basic human rights that rarely get penalized. Cause regulators are understaffed, overwhelmed, compromised by industry lobbying, by political donations, by cozy relationships between inspectors and facilities. While we're dying in epidemic proportions, eclipse of dignity of care, of basic human decency. This is American elder care. This is our legacy from reality, from reality.
Heart monitor. Monitor.
72-hour hold turned into involuntary commitment. Judge signed the papers, I wasn't present at my own imprisonment. Public defender met me 5 minutes before a hearing, said just cooperate, don't argue. But I'm hearing my rights disappear, my autonomy dissolve, because I had a breakdown, because I couldn't cope, because society don't got support system for folks struggling with mental health. Until we're in crisis, then they're smuggling us into institutions, medicating us into compliance, calling it treatment, calling it care, but really it's science. compliance of social controller, managing populations deemed unfit. I lost my job, lost my apartment, had a breakdown. Now I sit in this ward where they force medications with side effects worse than symptoms. Weight gain, tremors, cognitive impairment, cursed by a system that addresses mental illness with chemical restraints. Not therapy, not support, not addressing social constraints that cause the breakdown. Poverty, trauma, isolation, just pills and locked doors and forced medication. Mental health ward, cage for being unwell. They call it treatment, but it feels like hell. Forced medication, lost autonomy. This ain't healing, this is psychiatry. It's social control, it's punishment for struggling with conditions that society created. Troubling. Staff treats us like children, inmates problems to manage, not people in crisis needing support, just damage. Goods to process, to medicate, to discharge when insurance runs out. Doesn't matter if we're stable, if we got housing, if we're devout to treatment plan. Insurance dictates length of stay. Mine covers 10 days, then I'm released back to same life that led me astray into crisis in the first place. No follow-up, no support, just prescription and referral to outpatient clinic. Court order for compliance, literary click commitment. If I don't take meds, even though side effects make me unable to work, can't get out of bed, but that don't matter. Compliance is goal, not recovery, not quality of life, not addressing root causes. Discovery of what led to crisis gets replaced with pharmaceutical solution. Easier to medicate than address poverty, trauma, dissolution of support systems. Easier to lock us up than provide housing. Mental health care in America is social control, arousing suspicion in those of us who've experienced it, who know that treatment is often just warehousing, just show of addressing crisis without actually addressing causes. We're symptoms of societal failures, but they treat us like flaws. Heard screaming last night, someone being forcibly restrained. Chemical sedation when they resisted. Trauma compounded, maintained by violent intervention, disguised as therapy response. This is what happens when you fund crisis response, non-solutions to systematic problems. When you cut community mental health services, close state hospitals, but don't provide alternatives, just leave people to deteriorate until they're in crisis, then traumatize them further, isolate them in institutions with no actual path to recovery. My roommate been in and out for years, no continuity of care. Different doctors every time, starting over each admission. No one knows a story, just folder full of diagnoses that keep changing, medications that keep increasing. She's trapped in revolving door, psychiatric industrial complex, piecing together profit from while suffering from insurance payments, from pharmaceutical companies, from government arrangements that fund crisis response but not prevention, not support. This is mental health care in America, last resort instead of first line, reactive instead of proactive, traumatic instead of healing, punitive instead of attractive to people who need help, who are suffering, who deserve better than this, than forced treatment, than having to serve time for being unwell, for struggling with conditions that society helped create through its systematic restrictions of support, of community, of care, of basic dignity. This is psychiatric system, this is mental health industry.
You spout wrong course on man and on a million, but on this veteran. Sleeping on the subway, great for warmth. Shopping cart holds everything I own. Purple heart in the bottom somewhere, proof I serve, proof I'm not unknown. The bureaucracy that sent me overseas, 3 tours in golf, came back with PTSD, TBI, moral injury enough to break most folks' VA hospital waitlist 6 months long for mental health appointment. Meanwhile I'm trying to stay strong, but flashbacks come at night. Can't sleep indoors, feel trapped, can't hold employment, relationships collapse. Underway to trauma that civilians can't understand. Government sent me to kill it and prepare me to come back and function in society. Didn't warn me about the nightmares, the hypervigilance, the inability to connect. No one cares once you're no longer useful, once your service is complete. They thank you for your service, then leave you on the street. 22 veterans a day commit suicide. I thought about it, would probably be easier than this, than living without purpose, without home, without support from nation I defended. They spend trillions on war, can't spend millions on treatment. Offended by our existence, by our visibility, by reminder of their failures. We're uncomfortable
uncomfortable truth. Reminder, homeless veteran, serve my country faithfully. Now I'm abandoned on these streets, part of their strategy. To forget the cost of war, to hide the casualties. Thank me for my service, then walk past like I'm not real actually. VA claims process takes years, denied 3 times already. For service-connected disability, my hands ain't steady. From the TBI, documentation's insufficient, they claim. But I got shrapnel scars, medical records, still they blame me for incomplete paperwork, for missing deadlines. When you're homeless, it's impossible to maintain headlines of your life, to keep track of appointments, mail requirements. They notice that's intentional. It's retirement by attrition. Wait for veterans to die before paying claims. Cheaper than actually providing care. Playing games with people's lives, with people who sacrifice everything for country that can't be bothered to house them. Offering empty rhetoric about supporting troops while cutting funding for VA services. For housing programs is stunning. How blatant the hypocrisy is. How visible the gap between propaganda and reality. Divisible into those who profit from war and those who fight it. Politicians, kids don't serve. Working class kids invited to enlist with promises of education, healthcare, career, then abandoned when they broken. When they reappear, stateside carrying trauma, carrying injuries, carrying guilt from things they saw, things they did, empire they built with their bodies, with their minds. Now discarded like ammunition casings, empty shells bombarded by system that used them up then threw them away. Yeah. Other vets on this block, we look out for each other. Recognize the 1,000-yard stare, military bearing brother. A sisterhood that formed in warfare, persistent homelessness. We share resources, share stories, share openness about struggles that civilians judge us for. Addiction, trying to self-medicate trauma, they see affliction instead of survival strategy. Instead of symptom of inadequate support, they see moral failing, dismiss them. Quickly cross the street, don't make eye contact. We're a reminder of their complicity, of social contract, broken by nation that glorifies military service while abandoning veterans. Hypocrites, they nervous around us because we exposed a lie they tell themselves about American exceptionalism, about freedoms, about wealth that's built on backs of working class, built on poor folks fighting rich people's wars, coming home broken, indicting the whole system by our existence, by visibility of what empire does to those who serve it. Instability created by sending humans to do inhuman things, then expecting them to come home and function. Suffering we embody makes them uncomfortable, so they ignore us. Pass laws to criminalize homelessness, to force us into invisibility, into jails, into early graves. This is how America treats its veterans. This is how nation behaves toward those who believe the propaganda, who serve. Now we inconvenient truth they wish they could ditch, reserved for holidays and photo ops. Rest of the year forgotten on these streets, in these alleys, in this system rotten to its core, built on exploitation and abandonment. This is America, this is how it manages it. Veterans is poor, is broken, it's expendable. Population of people who believed and found indefensible. Reality of life after service, after sacrifice. Now I'm sleeping on grates, wondering what was the price of my service, of my trauma, of my homelessness. Was it worth it? Did it matter? All I got is loneliness. Look.
Turn on the faucet, brown water flows, lead pipes poisoning my children, my community. City council's been busy poisoning our water supply to save money. Switch water source, knew it was corrosive, knew it would leach lead. No remorse for black and brown communities, they deemed expendable. This is environmental racism, this is criminal, defensible by no moral standard. They knowingly hurt us, knowingly poisoned children, knowingly betrayed trust of citizens, paying taxes, paying water bills for toxic supply that's causing brain damage, developmental harm, toxic exposure that that'll affect generations. Kids born with lead in their blood, in their bones, in their future they plead. Ignorance but emails prove they knew, they just didn't care. Cause we're poor, cause we're black, cause we live over there in forgotten neighborhoods where services deteriorate, while wealthy suburbs get infrastructure updates. We wait for bottled water distribution, for filters that don't work completely, for pipes to be replaced that should have been replaced immediately. But that costs money and we're not worth the investment to politicians who see us as problems, not residents. Water crisis, environmental racism flows through lead pipes into black homes. Everybody knows this wouldn't happen in wealthy white neighborhoods fast. They fix it immediately, but we're left with poison that'll last generations. This is genocide, this is slow violence. This is what happens when government maintains silence about infrastructure failures in communities they don't value. Yeah, my daughter's developing slowly, lad exposure stunted. Her cognitive development, her potential they bunted. Aside our children's futures for budget considerations. This is what happens under emergency mandate legislation that strips elected officials of power, installs appointees who answer to governor, not residents. Priorities shifted from people to profit, from safety to savings. This is austerity politics. This is their cravings for small government manifested as poison water. For my son, my daughter, my neighbor's son and daughter, we organized, protested, demanded accountability. They denied it for months, called us hysterical inability to take black women seriously when we said something's wrong. Dismissed our concerns, our evidence for too long, until researchers from outside confirm what we've been saying, and suddenly it's a crisis. Suddenly they're praying for forgiveness. Suddenly they care, but where were they when we were screaming for help, when we were trying to convey the urgency, the danger, the poisoning of our community? They were protecting the image, the budget, impunity of officials who made decisions that harmed us. No consequences for poisoning a city, just apologies and defenses that ring hollow when children are damaged permanently. Class action lawsuit filed, years in court ahead. Meanwhile we're still bathing in bottled water, drinking from plastic lead. Levels in some homes still elevated, pipe replacement slow. Government dragging feet, minimizing scope. We know this is intentional, this is hoping we'll move away. Displaced by crisis they created, by water we can't taste. Without gagging, without fearing for our children's health. This is environmental racism, this is commonwealth sacrifice for corporate profit, for political expedience. This is what happens to communities without procedural adherence to basic human rights, to clean water, to safe infrastructure. This is America's underbelly. This is the rupture between rhetoric and reality, between what they claim and what they do when communities are black and poor. Same pattern everywhere. Jackson, Mississippi, Newark, Baltimore. Failing infrastructure in black neighborhoods they ignore until crisis becomes too visible. Then mental response, just enough to quiet outrage, not enough to ever launch real solutions, real repairs, real justice, real accountability. We're supposed to be grateful for bottled water. Reality is they poisoned us, damaged our children, stole our future, and expect us to move on, forgive, not prosecute. New to our rage, our demands, our organizing, our resistance. But we remember, we document, we maintain persistence in demanding justice, in demanding they fix what they broke, in demanding they value black lives, not just lip service spoke. On camera we demand action, we demand repair of infrastructure, the bodies of community of care that should have been there from the beginning, that we deserve. This is environmental justice organizing. We've observed how power operates, how racism manifests in pipes and budgets, in decisions and systemic oversight that protects white communities, abandons black ones. We're building power, building coalitions, loading guns, not literal, metaphorical arms of resistance, organizing community power to demand better, not compromising on our children's health, on our right to clean water. This is Flint, this is everywhere, and we're fighting harder.
in this building, landlord trying to evict us all. Claims renovation really just wants higher rent installed. New tenants, gentrify, maximize profit margins. But we organized, formed tenant union, started charging forward collectively. Alone we're powerless, together strong. Learn from organizers fighting this fight long. Before crisis forced our hand, now we learning tenant rights. Rent strike strategy, how to stand united through the fights. Landlord tries dividing us, new against old. Documented against undocumented, but we're bold. Seeing through those tactics, recognizing power lies in solidarity. In the vow we made, nobody moves until we all can rise. With rent we can't afford, repairs made, dignity restored. Saying decisions about our homes, our lives accord. This is tenant organizing, how community survives. Corporate landlords, gentrification, we're building power in our lives.
Tenant union rising, collective power growing strong. We've been divided too long, told to fight alone. But together we unbreakable, together we can win. This is how change happens, this is where hope begins. Not in politicians' promises, not in corporate goodwill, but in organized communities refusing to stand still.
Started door knocking, talking every neighbor here. Building relationships, trust, understanding, share fear of survival in this building, in this city's grasp. Some folks scared of retaliation, that's valid, but our class together makes it harder. Can't evict everyone. We learn from rent strikes in Harlem, from battles won through organized struggle, sustained pressure, solidarity strong. We're part of tradition, part of a longer fight, lifelong, about who the city belongs to, who gets to stay. Not just wealthy developers, our lives matter, we say. We're not market forces, we're humans gathering power to challenge housing as commodity. This is our hour, organizing across buildings now. Dozens of unions forming, citywide coalitions, sharing strategies, transforming. Dispossessed into organized working class who built this city and deserve to stay. We're withholding rent until repairs are made, arousing media, politicians' attention. They thought we'd accept displacement, but we're here with intention. The people
united will never be defeated.
Housing is a human right.
Right, fight, fight, fight.
El Pueblo,
Unido.
Jamás será vencido. Won our first victory last week. Landlord agreed to negotiate. 30 of us showed up, made it clear we're serious. Wait, got rent stabilization for this building. Repairs guaranteed. No retaliation clause, written agreement. Planted seed for other buildings to see what's possible when we organize. Power in numbers, power in solidarity, power in our eyes. This is collective bargaining for housing. Foundation of organized labor applied to neighborhoods. Our station fighting gentrification, corporate landlords, extraction systems. We organize, we build power, we demand what's been missing. Dignity in housing, stability, accountability. From landlords profiting off our rent, from politicians complicity. We're learning struggles, interconnected stresses come from same source. Private ownership of necessities, we're changing course through organizing, building movements, fighting fights previous generations fought. Not asking anymore, demanding with power to back what we sought. This is tenant organizing, taking lives into our hands. This is democracy from below, this is where real power stands. Not saviors, not politicians, but us organizing ourselves, our communities, our power, pulling justice off the shelves. This ain't ending, just beginning of a longer fight ahead. But tonight we celebrate victory, tomorrow we continue to spread. Tenant union rising, collective power everywhere we turn.
The people unite.